Hi everyone, welcome to my new series that's aimed to help newer Gears of War players get used to Gears of War 4. Now, I just want to start this off by saying I am not the best Gears of War player ever, and I'm definitely not an advanced player. I would put myself more around a mid-tier player who definitely knows more than he actually uses. It's one thing I know I do in a lot of games is I know fundamentals and stuff like that, but me actually putting them into my own gameplay, I'm not the best at. But I definitely do understand a lot of concepts, and I do believe some of these concepts will help newer players get better. Also, if there are more seasoned players out there who have anything to add to any of these videos I'm going to be doing, I would greatly appreciate people adding things to the comments so I can add them in annotations of the video. And please correct me on anything if I'm wrong, because I don't want to be giving out the wrong information. I want this series to be a place where newer players, or even just maybe intermediate players, can come and maybe learn something that will help them play better. Now, today, my first episode is going to be on movement, because movement is very, very important in Gears of War. But I would say one of the things that separates Gears of War from many other multiplayer games is the importance and role in movement in gameplay. It is very, very easy to tell a beginner player from a more advanced one based on how they move around the map. So today I'm going to go over what I feel newer players need to know in order to improve their movement in Gears of War 4. First things first, how to move quickly. For those playing on console, the default button mapped for sprinting, which is called roadie running, is the A button. Now I definitely want to make that distinction because I'm going to be calling this roadie running during the rest of the video. And I know most people used to hearing it called sprint, so just want to make sure you guys are aware of that. It's important to know that you must hold the A button to run. And this button is also used for a variety of movement abilities, such as rolling and sliding to cover. So, it's going to be a button you're going to use a lot. Now, some people might find running and keeping your aiming well with the default controller setup to be a bit of a problem, and to alleviate that, you can definitely look into other optional control schemes or learning to adopt a claw grip. I have a friend who uses a claw grip, and he really excels in Nasher fights out of roadie runs, and it's really kind of amazing to watch, and something that I definitely cannot do. And I really can't speak much to what a claw grip is, as I've just, really don't use it. But there are many videos out there that can explain it to you and its benefits. So, if you're interested in that and you do realize that you have a problem, controlling the camera while you're running around, definitely look into learning how to adopt a claw grip. Now, one of the many ways you can tell how adept a player is at their movement is by how much they use sliding to cover in combat. One of my main games that I love to play is Halo, and in Halo, strafing is very important. It's very important to learn, very important to master, and the same is true here in Gears of War. Now, while you can side strafe during fights, a lot of the more advanced strafing is often done by what is called wall bouncing. Basically, it is just chaining sliding to cover together to confuse your opponents and win in usually close-quarter Nasher duels. It is definitely a more advanced technique, but even beginners can learn to use this and incorporate it into their normal gameplay. I personally am not very good at wall bouncing, but I do try to slide to cover during fights occasionally and throw off my opponent. It definitely will work. Now, it does have some weaknesses too, so if you're a beginner and you go up against people who are wall bouncing, you have to understand there's only so many pieces of cover they can go to depending where you are. So, you can predict where they're going to go and have an upper hand. But this takes time, learning the game, learning the particular opponent's tendencies. So it's something that you will adopt over time. And also, wall balancing is something that takes practice as well, so don't get discouraged if you're having a hard time doing it. Please remember, many of these players have been playing Gears of War for close to 10 years. So a lot of people on there are very seasoned. Now, besides wall bouncing, sliding to cover is a great thing to get in the habit of. It can help you dodge long-range fire in a pinch, and can also just get you behind much-needed cover in a firefight. It can also really help you move around the map much faster, even if you don't think it will. If you're running and you see a piece of cover in front of you, if you can slide to it and bounce off really fast, it will be faster than just running normally. So it's a very good thing to get in the habit of. So it is also very important to not stay on a piece of cover for too long if you're in a firefight, as your opponent will either find a way to flank you or use one of the many new close quarter mechanics to take you out. And this is important for all players playing Gears of War 4 to realize. There are new mechanics that really affect close quarters combat, especially when you're behind cover, especially cover that people might be able to vault over. Now, speaking of the new mechanics, I want to go in depth about two of them to make sure you understand how they work and how you can counter them. First, you now have the ability to seamlessly mantle over cover and keep your momentum going by pressing forward and the B button as you roadie run into cover. Now, this only works on cover that you can normally jump over if you were already against the cover, but it can be done to a lot of cover, trust me. You can also hop up on small ledges, like for example the middle platform on Dam, and mastering these new techniques can really help you beat your opponent's power weapons and to objectives. Now, it's also important to realize that the new mantling over cover can be used as an offensive tool as well. If you're running towards a piece of cover that an opponent is hiding behind, and you hit up and B and mantle over, cover it right where they are, like right opposite of where the opponent is, your character will initiate a kick that will leave your opponent stunned for a few seconds, and it will leave them open to a knife assassination or a quick blast from whatever weapon you're carrying. Now, the knife assassination is done by pressing the Y button right after, and you should see a little prompt pop up, and depending if you're facing directly forward, a little off to the side, your character will do a slightly different animation. Now, on the flip side, if you see someone running toward a piece of cover that you're sitting at, and you don't have time to down him, back off of that cover so you don't get kicked as well. Now, I'm not sure, there might even be a counter mechanic to the kick, a button you could press really quickly to kind of just dodge out of the way, but I'm not 100% sure, as I've never found myself in that situation yet. So, just keep in mind, if you see someone getting close and you don't have time to move out of the way, there might be a button prompt to counter that, but I'm not entirely sure. Now, there also is another new mechanic that has to do with being behind cover. If you and an opponent are both on the opposite sides of a piece of cover, it is possible to lean over and grab them, bringing them to your side of the cover and stunning them. This is done by pressing the forward and X button. And once you do this, your character will go into an animation of lunging over and grabbing. And if you're successful, you'll bring the opponent over, like I said. If you're not, it leaves you wide open. So please be aware of that. It really leaves you open to dying if you whiff this. Now again, once you bring them over, you can either finish them off with a knife animation or a blast with a weapon of your choice. Be also aware that your opponent can do this, but there is a counter. A button prompt will briefly flash as your opponent goes to grab you, and if you hit it at the right time, you will counter the grab, pulling them over and stunning them instead. Now, since this hasn't happened to me, I'm not quite sure what that button press is, so please be on the lookout for that. I'm not sure if it's X or Y, but I do believe it's definitely one of those two. It will flash very fastly, so please just try to be aware of that. And also, if you're on that situation, try to be the one grabbing first so you don't get caught. Alright, now that we've gone over how to move around, I'm just going to give some quick tips on how you should be moving around the map. When a match first starts, it's a great habit to rush power weapons if you're playing Slayer, or any mode really, or the objective if you're playing King of the Hill, Escalation, etc. Now you can see where the power weapons are located on the map by pressing B on the preloading screen. Basically, when you're on the screen where you see everyone's name in the lobby, you can hit B and it'll give you an overhead view of the map. You can also press the left bumper to bring up your tactical view, which will show where power weapons are, or just by following teammates, because I'm sure a lot of people on here know where they are as well. Now, as a side note, when you're using the tactical view, if the power weapon you're looking at seems faded, it's not there. So once the match is already going and everything is going on, it's crazy, If you're not sure if power weapons respond, the tactical views are a great thing to use. Because if you look at the weapon and it's more in like a bright white outline, it's there. So, you know you can move there now. And always keep an eye on your little bottom left corner to see if someone has picked up that weapon as well, which is really good to know. It's also very useful just to know when to time your rushes and if you're just basically doing unneeded map movement, because if you don't have to be there and your teammates don't need help there, then there really is no reason for you to be there. Now, if you don't have to pick them up either when you rush them, just you being there giving support fire to your teammates, whether it be long range Lancer or rushing with them with a Nasher, the support really helps, because as long as your team gets the power weapon, that's the objective. Also, like I said, rushing toward objectives on the map like the Hill and King of the Hill, helps your team score points. And during the course of the map, or the matches, you will eventually learn the flow of the maps, and it's just something really you get from experience. Also, if you see teammates, if their names are in yellow, you'll notice that they're under fire and they're shooting at someone. So, being aware of where your teammates are comes through playing, and eventually you'll learn how to move around the map. You'll learn that you don't want to be by yourself a lot. You want to try to buddy up at least with someone, at least in the beginning, until you feel you can handle yourself in firefights well. Now, that's just a brief talk on movement in Gears of War 4. The final piece of advice I have for newer players, and this is going to be for anything I tell you, for all the lessons here, is to start out by practicing in the versus CPU mode. There you can test out all the advice I gave you in a much more stress-free environment than the pure PvP multiplayer. This mode is basically you with a team of humans versus a team of AI at the difficulty you choose, from the easiest to all the way up to insane. And there, you can basically try wall balancing against opponents. You can figure out different routes to the power weapons off spawn, what gets you there faster. You can practice vaulting over cover, and you can try all this stuff. And in the background now, I think I have a video of me just vaulting over cover in one of the matches. So, you can definitely try this, and it'll be great to help you out. And once you feel confident enough to make that move into multiplayer, start out in social, and then slowly move over to ranked. If the ranking system works as it should, you'll be put in similarly skilled players, and you'll be able to grow at your own pace. Social can be a place for pub stopping, so, if you find it's not working too well, I wouldn't stay there too long and get frustrated. But, maybe for the first week or so, I would say definitely try to stay more the versus CPU and social, then moving out into ranked, because for the first little bit, ranking is going to be doing all these placement matches with the whole bunch of people playing the game, so much more skilled players will be in your placement matches regardless, and you don't want to get too discouraged. Now please note, this is not an easy game to get a hang of, and many veteran players, like I said, have been wall bouncing for almost 10 plus years. Please try to understand that going might be rough at first, but try to keep a positive attitude while playing and try to learn the game. I know this is very easy to say, and emotions often run high in multiplayer games, but it really is the truth. Try your best to just stay calm, take a deep breath, and if you find yourself getting worked up too much, take a break, walk away for a bit. Try to remember the most important thing is to have fun in these games. So push yourself to improve, but make sure you aren't going too far, and make sure you take enough breaks so you're not going super crazy at the game. Alright, thank you so much for watching. I hope this has been helpful. And again, please leave any feedback down in the comments down below. I definitely want to hear from you guys. I definitely would like to hear more advice to things that I missed, maybe. Things I could add to videos later on. And I'll be back later this week with the video on aiming. Alright, again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys out in the battlefield. Talk to you later.